So let's explore how these models actually survive out there in the wild. All right, let's jump right into section 1, Beyond Memorization, the absolute true test of machine learning. Before we even touch the algorithms, we have to establish our baseline goal, and that is generalization. Basically, it's a model's ability to perform accurately on completely new, unseen data that comes from the exact same underlying distribution as its training data. I mean, if a model only works on the exact examples it trained on, it's pretty much useless, right? Think about learning to ride a bike. You practice on one specific bike, maybe on a quiet street. But true generalization means you can eventually hop on any bike, on any street, even if it's a little rainy. You've learned the actual underlying skill of balancing rather than just memorizing one specific sunny route. This exam prep analogy brilliantly illustrates what's at stake here. Imagine a student who just memorizes past exam papers. That's overfitting. Sure, they're going to score 100% on the practice test, but they'll completely fail the actual exam the second the questions change. On the flip side, a student who actually understands the core principles, they might miss a practice question or two, but they'll easily pass the final when faced with completely unfamiliar problems. That is generalization in a nutshell. In machine learning, we absolutely want to build that student on the right. Moving on to section 2, let's talk about the sandbox, training versus test versus the real world. So how do we actually train a model to be that top-tier student? Well, we use data splits. We've got our training set to fit the parameters, usually taking up around 60 to 80% of the data. Then, the validation set to tune our hyperparameters. And finally, the test set for our final unbiased estimate. And beyond that, just the great unpredictable unknown of real-world data. But listen, here is the absolute golden rule. The test set must never be used to make decisions about the model. Seriously, if you tweak your model based on how it does on the test set, you're basically letting it peak at the final exam. You completely contaminate your generalization estimate. As we move models through these splits, we're constantly keeping an eye out for 3 specific generalization gaps. First up is the train validation gap. If your training score is high but your validation score is low, your model is overfitting. It's just memorizing the training noise. Second is the validation test gap, which tells you if you accidentally overtuned your model just to ace the validation set. But the real kicker is the third one, the test real gap. This is, without a doubt, the most dangerous gap of all, simply because the real world is never ever exactly like your static, perfectly curated test set. I want you to imagine this scenario. You build a model. You follow all the rules to the letter. It works beautifully on the test set. You deploy it to production, pop some champagne, and celebrate. But 2 weeks later, its performance just completely falls off a cliff. So what exactly happened out there? That question brings us right to section 3. When reality hits, shattering the IID illusion. That massive drop in performance, that happens because the safety of our sandbox totally disappears when we face the IID assumption. Machine learning theory fundamentally assumes that training and test data are independent and identically distributed. We kind of pretend each example is drawn completely independently and that everything comes from the exact same probability distribution. And hey, in academic papers, this is usually just a given. But in real-world engineering, it's almost never perfectly true. The reality is, the real world fights back by violating these assumptions in 3 major ways. First, non-independent data. Think of time series predicting stock prices. Today's price obviously depends heavily on yesterday's. Second, distribution shift, sometimes called covariate shift. Imagine a self-driving car trained exclusively on data from sunny California. If it suddenly hits a rainstorm in Seattle, the input pixels look entirely different. The distribution has shifted, and the model is going to fail. Third is concept drift, or label shift. Think of a fraud detection model trained in 2024. By 2025, fraudsters completely changed their tactics. The underlying relationship between the input and output has fundamentally shifted. And then we have the silent killer, data leakage. It's honestly like a true crime mystery hidden right inside your data pipeline. Data leakage happens when information from outside the training set secretly sneaks into your training features. For instance, say you're trying to predict daily sales, and one of the features you accidentally include is total monthly sales. Well, obviously in the real world, on day 3 of the month, you don't know the total monthly sales yet. Your model is going to look like an absolute genius during testing, but it will completely faceplant in production because that future information is suddenly gone. So, how do we fix this? Let's get into section 4, the engineer's toolkit for fighting back against the chaos. With distribution shifts, concept drift, and data leakage constantly threatening our models, we need a solid way to fight back. Here is your survival toolkit. First and foremost, feed the model more diverse data. Expose it to the messy, real-world distribution as much as you can. If you can't get more data, use data augmentation, like adding noise or flipping images, to artificially create plausible variations. Next, apply regularization, like weight decay, to basically penalize the model for memorizing random noise. And finally, use early stopping. Keep a close eye on that validation loss and literally pull the plug on training before the overfitting even starts. But honestly, all the regularization in the world won't save you if you aren't measuring your success correctly in the first place. You need proper validation strategies. The holdout test set is the simplest, sure, but if your dataset is small, you just really use k-fold cross-validation, which rotates your test set to squeeze the absolute most reliable estimate out of your limited data. Now, if you've got imbalanced classes, like predicting a really rare disease, you have to use stratified splits to make sure every subset has the exact right proportion of positive cases. And for temporal data, you must use a time series split. You only ever train on the past and validate on the future to totally prevent that look-ahead bias we just talked about. As we're building up this toolkit, it's absolutely crucial we draw a line between generalization and a distinctly different concept, robustness. Generalization is how well your model performs on unseen data from the same distribution. Robustness is how it handles data from a different or corrupted distribution. A model can generalize beautifully to a perfectly clean IID test set, but be a total disaster in the real world. If changing just a single pixel flips an AI's prediction from dog to ostrich, well, that model generalizes to the test set, but it definitely isn't robust. In fact, improving robustness against that kind of adversarial noise is one of the most active, intense research areas in AI right now.